Hello everyone, this is Taryn with Wonderfully Made Handcrafting, and today I'm working on the Red Sea Rules, the book that we're going over in January with ByTheWell4God. I am on rule number 7 today, which I'm talking about envisioning God's enveloping presence. That's what this whole chapter is about, and specifically there was a verse in here that I really liked, Psalm 46:1, which says, "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." And the author quoted a commentator, and that commentator said, "God's presence in the trial is much better than exemption from the trial." And so I wanted to remember that as I was working on this page. It also made me remember the quote from Charles Spurgeon, which says, "I have learned to kiss the waves that throw me up against the rock of ages." It's one of my favorite quotes from him. But here you'll see me do something a little different today. I'm kind of trying to branch out a little bit more and do some different techniques. And so today we're going to use Lindy's magical powders. But first off, I did gesso the page, hoping that it wouldn't leak through too much, but also that it helps give like a base to the page. And so you saw me just hold those up. I used Top Hat Teal and a Black Hole Black. And so those are the two colors that I mixed together to kind of get that darker teal color that is in this kit. Now I do have to say, with Lindy's magical powders, you do use quite a bit of water to make them flow and really get that full effect. So I did put some mint tape down the center crease. However, that water just kind of pooled there. I tried to pick it up some, but it did pool and it did get in some other pages in my Bible, none that I've worked on yet. And so if I do end up working on those pages, I will just cover them up with some paint or work with it. It's not too big of a deal. It didn't leak too bad either. But if you're concerned about that, definitely work outside the Bible with your Lindy's magical powders. Maybe do it on a completely separate page and then paste that page onto your interleave Bible page or whatever you're working on if you are concerned about leakage. I do love this product. I love the way it flows and how it goes over this texture paste that I've laid down. And so if you haven't tried them out yet, I will leave one of my affiliate links for them down below so you can check that out. I believe you can get 10% off with my link, so I will leave that down below. But anyways, this is just kind of a process where you go back and forth. I'm adding the teal, adding the black, back and forth, kind of mopping some of the excess water up. And it's all just that slow kind of process of getting the color that you want. Now, if I wasn't trying to color match anything, I could have been done way sooner, but I really wanted to get that same kind of tone that was in the floral pieces for this kit. Lindy's also has sprays that work similarly. However, I think I like the powders a little bit better. I feel like you have a little bit more control, but the sprays are equally as amazing, just for kind of different scenarios. So anyways, you'll see me here kind of go and dry and come back and add more color. I really like how this turned out. Now, the only thing that I wish I had done was added some more paper over the text, because when you see me peel back that mint tape eventually, you do have this kind of overspray from spraying the water and the powder kind of going everywhere. So you do have that overspray a little bit. Also, make sure to clean up your desk fairly fast because it will stain. Dawn dish soap takes it off. Also, Magic Eraser does pretty well. So anyways, there are things to clean that stuff up, but it does get a little bit messy. I'm pretty happy with this background the way it is now, so I'm going to make sure that everything is heat set. And now I'm going to start working on my cluster like I normally do. I definitely want to include these floral bits. I also have this acetate piece from 49 in Market. I am putting some mummy cloth under there as well to add more texture. And then we're going to turn to working on a wax seal. I haven't done wax seals in a while, and I really thought that this page could benefit from that. And so I'm just kind of looking at placement, where I want that placed. I have a good amount of card left on that little grocery receipt. That was actually from a previous kit. And so I want to kind of fill this card up so it doesn't look so empty. So I am grabbing some of this kind of maroon red color and then one black, and I will start heating that up for my wax seal. Now with the wax, it's a little hard to know how many little beads you'll need, so it's kind of more so of a learn as you go thing. But what I've found is that you can always save the excess, and so I just kind of go a little bit over what I'll need so I don't have to do it multiple times, and then I'll save the excess once it hardens in a little baggie so I can reuse it. And I actually do reuse those, especially for common colors like metallic golds or neutrals. So here you'll see me make this little oval shape, and then I will put that stamp down. Now I'm only making it an oval shape because the stamp is actually an oval, and I like having just that little border around the stamp. So as I look at placement here, I will go to my metallic Sharpies and kind of look at what one I want to use to highlight the seal on the inside. You don't have to do this. This is just an extra little step, but I really like how it makes everything pop on that seal. Now this wax seal obviously has some very similar colors to the floral cluster I have in the background. And so to make that stand out just a little bit more, I'm going to grab some of my book spines. These are ripped off from old books. House of Books actually sells them in a pack, but I got them in my January subscription. And so what I will do is try to figure out what color looks best with this cluster, and then I'm going to layer it underneath the wax seal and a little bit actually underneath the floral cluster as well, but that will kind of help the seal stand out a little bit more from the cluster. Like I said in a recent video, I really don't like anything laying flat on a page, so I just take my fingernail and roughen up that journaling card, and then I'll add some frayed burlap around the edge of that, as well as that stencil cardstock in the background as well, just to give it more of that vintage look that I love. And it's pretty fun because I have the more modern look with the Lindys in the background mixed with my love of vintage, and they go really well together. Now, since that floral cluster is going to be covering up the upper left-hand corner of this card, I do just use my tiny attacher to make sure that those are nice and secure together. And then I also use my tiny attacher to staple that acetate piece. Acetate doesn't really like glue that much unless it dries really fast, and so using that tiny attacher helps a whole bunch with that. So now we're going to start gluing down this cluster. I do end up using my Barely Arts glue. I love this glue. It's my go-to for basically everything besides fabric, and so I will set that down, and then we're going to add the wax seal as well. Now with the wax seal, if you had some Fabri-Tac glue, you could use Fabri-Tac glue to make sure that is nice and secure, but I use my Barely Arts glue with the wax seal and it ends up working just fine. So in case you don't have Fabri-Tac, I would just use that. Now I really have loved using both mummy cloth and lace together lately. I just like the roughness of the mummy cloth mixed with the beautiful ornateness of the lace, and so I just love that juxtaposition next to one another. So I am gluing those down with my Barely Arts glue. Again, Fabri-Tac probably would work better, but my Fabri-Tac is coming to me. It is in the mail. So I'm just trying to make it work with my Barely Arts glue. So all you need to do is wait a second so it has time to dry. Then I did add a little bit of frayed burlap on top of my lace to make it just a little bit of a different color before I glued it down. Now that I'm almost done with this page, I do realize that the bottom right-hand corner of this little receipt journaling card looks pretty empty. And so I go through all my floral ephemera pieces from this kit and I'm trying to decide what might look good in this bottom right hand corner. At first I was looking at bigger clusters of florals and tucking them underneath the card, but I ultimately decide on this smaller piece and I will put it on top of the card just like that other cluster. It'll kind of be my secondary cluster, except I have nothing else in that quote unquote cluster besides the floral pieces, because I don't want to compete with what I have going up in the left hand corner. I don't want to forget to add my date stamp to this page, and lately I've been putting it on the text side of the page because sometimes I'm not that great at stamping out that date stamp, and when I put it on the page that I've already worked on and I mess it up, it just breaks my heart a little bit. So putting it on that left hand side with the text works well for me. So now all I have to do is add that cluster down, and then this page will be done. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me over on Instagram at Wonderfully Made Handcrafting. I'll try to leave everything I use down below in the description, and I hope you have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.